So I set up to sell at a local comic book event. I also picked up a few books. Let's talk about the event and what I grabbed up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description of this video for links to my Instagram, my whatnot, my eBay store, and my email. You can reach out to me in any of those ways. And if you see something in the eBay store, reach out to me on Instagram or email for a better deal. So the Three Men in a Basement, they had their annual comic book swap. I've had bad luck at getting to this event just in terms of scheduling. One year, it was the same day as one of my kids' school plays. And then last year, there was a family emergency. I was going to go up there, not to sell, but just to buy. So I had reached out to Otto, and then it turned out that with Streetside Anthony's help, there was an open table kind of last minute. And I jumped in because I wanted to bring up some of these books that I got in a recent Silver Age collection. And see what I could move, right? And I actually sold more books than I bought. I sold 9 books, and I bought 7 books, but I spent a lot less money. And I sold some good keys and, made some good money to fund the other hobby, pay for the cost of those books and, a little bit to move forward and buy some new books. So, let's take a look at footage of like the setup. So I'm setting up here at the Three Men in a Basement comic swap. It is crunch time. Everybody's trying to get their stuff together. Mike the Beast Benson's here. And we are about 10 minutes away from doors opening. So I've just been setting up the whole time. And ooh, a sun girl. That's cool. It's about to open. We're about to see the white smoke emerging.
Yo!
What's going on?
The real first American Pope. That guy's the second.
That's the Pope of Chilitown, for those of you not in the know. With 9-0 Spyman #1. Gary's here.
Will tell you I don't know all that much. Yeah, Star Wars.
So I didn't do a lot of digging throughout the day. I spent most of the day just kind of hanging out. And I do have to give credit to the Three Men in a Basement. You have Otto, who just is kind of the driving force behind it all. And it's really his love of the comic book community that gets this event going. And then the other 2 men, I guess now the third man has officially been replaced, I'm sure. Roger and the grinder, Chinmo, who takes care of all the details and makes sure everything is set up. They just did a great job. And in addition to that, it's a community event. Every vendor there, and I think as well as every attendee, or the vast majority of the attendees, feel welcome there. Everybody knows each other. There's a great sense of community. Otto puts on a distinct show, right? It's there's music there. There's food trucks outside. So for vendors, it's really nice. You can just kind of run outside, get some lunch, come back in. They had donuts set up. Just really a great community event. And I then afterwards invites everybody out for a dinner, and I was at the table with 360 Comics with Pope of Chilitown, and they're from the Philadelphia area, and they're like, we only come here because of you, Otto, because you put on such a great event, and the friendships that you develop. So there was some karaoke. Some people might have gotten carried away, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a really great day, and just a day to get in touch with people that you see a few times a year. Some people, some other vendors that are closer, you see them on a monthly or more than monthly basis. Like I said, I was set up next to Streetside Anthony. I see him quite often. And also some people from the community, Lunch Money Comics came and he did his video. There were, Gary was there, and I said Streetside, and there were just a bunch of other folks that I've gotten to know throughout the year through these events and other events. So this is kind of what it looked like at the height of the show. So people were digging for all types of things, and most of the vendors did well for a smaller show, right? This is not where, necessarily big keys are flying off the shelves like a New York or a Baltimore or Terrificon. But I moved bigger books, a handful of them. Like 360 was saying, he sold mostly smaller books, and Pope of Chilitown moved some bigger books. He moved some movie posters. So it was there was enough there to see. I kind of, again, took it easy. Sometimes I like when I go to a show like this to just kind of spend my time in digging through as many boxes as possible to try to really find things, especially condition-wise. I didn't spend that much time just because I only had so much energy. I had taken the day off the day before to kind of get everything organized. I had everything graded and priced, but I hadn't put the prices on the book. So when I got there to set up about 2 hours before doors opened, I had my Post-its and my Sharpie, and I'm writing the prices on the books then and there. I had them all priced on a separate sheet of paper. Any rate, the let's see what I picked up. Okay, so I picked up one book from Very Gary, and it's this book. I picked up this book quite a bit. So this is a double key, minor double key. It's Detective Comics 463. It's the first appearance of the Black Spider, who is on the cover here. And it's also there's a backup Adam story, which is the first appearance of the Calculator. That's kind of why I gravitate towards this book. I'm a math teacher, a high school math teacher. So the Calculator is kind of interesting to me. He's a silly 70s villain. He wears like a lavender suit, and he has a keypad on his chest and a display on the top of his head. And he's, just basically a villain that's out there to rob banks and steal diamonds and stuff. But in more current continuity, kind of pre-New 52, he was retconned to be more of, a man in the chair who was like a hacker and was a nemesis of Oracle, Barbara Gordon's Oracle character. And the other thing that's really interesting about the Calculator that they did in retconning him is they brought in 2 characters from DC lore that had previously been unused in the main continuity as his children. And his children are the Wonder Twins. Actually, they're not. Are they Wonder Twins? No. They're just Marvin and Wendy. And from the Super Friends. The first season of the Super Friends. They're without powers, but they are his children. So at least to, for nostalgia's sake, some interesting connections there. Spec-wise, I think this is an interesting character that could be used, right? Because not this incarnation, of a standard bad guy with a shtick. This is a really nice copy. I would think it has a couple of tiny spine ticks. I think a 9.4, probably more likely a 9.6. Everything is real. The corners are really sharp. The binder is sharp. There's no tanning at all. And the most recent sale of a 9.6 was in excess of $200. So I think I'm going to get this graded. If I get whatever grade I get, the highest grade I'm going to keep in my collection, just to have value. But this is a book from I think this is 76, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Sacco Slugger 76, Batman versus the Black Spider. So it is almost a 50-year-old book. Harder to get this era book in a high grade, so that'll be fun. There are about 100 Blue Label copies on the census. There's like 8 9/8s and 22 9/6s. So I was really happy to get this, nice deal from Gary, because it's not an overwhelming key. But I'm gonna put that in my slab pile because I think it's really that high a grade. Then Uncle Frank, he's a guy who just sits up. He's a collector. I've met him at these events, and I just bought a few books. He had some nice high-grade books, some 9/8 contenders, potentially. X-Men Adventures #1. This is a book that I like to seek out in high grade because it does, it's like a $10 book raw, but it's like a $150 book in a 9/8. And usually, when the series came out, it went up quite a bit, and I expect that to happen when we see a season 2. This is a book that was a big spec book during the boom, and it still held most of its value in a 9.8. It's just one of those books that catches me visually when I see it because of that. People were picking this up as a key, a spec book. It's New X-Men 128. It's the first appearance of Phantom X. Low grade spec. I'm going to probably grade that. The next book is a B cover of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow #1. This is, the A cover is about $150 in a 9.8. This is a mint copy. It's a newer book, right? It's from 2014, I think. This is basically what we believe that the Supergirl movie that's coming out next year is going to be based on this storyline. I haven't read this yet. It's kind of in my blind spot. So I'm going to read this copy, and I'm probably going to grade it. This in a 9.8 is about half what cover A is. But if the movie kind of hits and it has the right, hype around it, this is a good book to have around that time. I don't know if I would keep that or not, but I'm going to get that graded. Up next is a book. It's not his first appearance. I never collected this title at the time. Blue Devil, #1. His first appearance was in... help me here. Was it New Teen Titans? No, it was Fury of Firestorm. Issue 31, 26? I don't know. It was one of those previews like New Teen Titans and DC Comics Presents 26 and Captain Carrot and so on. This is his second appearance, first of ongoing series. I think I've completed the series. This is a high-grade book. There's a little bit of foxing on the back and a little bit of dirt. This might be a little bit of a project. I don't know if I'll put this in a spec pile. They could use Blue Devil. They did use him in the Swamp Thing TV series, kind of. Ian Zerling of Beverly Hills 90210 fame had played him, but didn't really fully morph into this character. Then the last book I picked up was... I can't help myself. This is close to high grade, but I'm just going to throw it in the spec box because I have a lot of these. It's Shade the Changing Man #1 by Steve Ditko. This is a character that's been used in Justice League Dark. And this is going to be one of those things where if they ever announce that he's going to be in a film or something and it hits a top 10, it's going to be one of these books where nobody was specking. I am. So, yeah, Shade the Changing Man #1. Just put that in the spec box. And then I went to one other vendor. I was kind of looking at wall books at the end. And the Street Side had said to me early in the day, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I don't really know. But I'm always looking for this kind of book." So I went back and forth with the vendor. We looked at the book, and there's a story behind that. I thought it was a pretty clean copy. It is Batman #86. It has this silly kind of Batman Indian chief cover, but it's a nice copy. It does have some creasing down there at the bottom, and I do have the 54 on here because it's from 1954. A little bit of wear on the spine. But one of the things to note about this book, and I got this for pretty much fair market value. They both agreed on the grade and the value. But, I said, take a look inside. So he counts the pages from front to centerfold, and it's 12 wraps. Then he counts from centerfold to back, and it's 8 wraps. Because this is, it's all there because it has these partial pages. These wraps, and I don't know, this didn't seem like the most economical thing one could have done at the time. This is a book from 1954. And at this point in time, they were kind of cutting down on page count to keep it at 10 cents. But what happened is, and here's an example, right? Be careful with the book, but the book's in pretty nice shape. See right there? It almost looks like somebody took a razor blade and sliced a page out, but that's not what it is. It's like a half wrap, right? So there are 12 wraps in the front of the book and 8 wraps in the back. So there are like 4 of those are half wraps. So it's 44 pages when you include the cover. And one of the things that we both did in determining that this book was complete, etc., was you go to the Grand Comics database, comic.org, and you're just going to be careful. So here's a little trick I learned from an ETA Nick video. Especially this is Drew Mylar, right? Let's could use a wider backer board, but I think this will suffice. Kind of put it between 2 backer boards when you slide it back in to avoid any snags on the book. And that'll slide in much more easily. And then you just slide the front. This should work, right? Backer board out. I mean, you do run a risk of some color rub, but, you know, on a book this old, you really don't get that. At this point, I'm not looking to get this graded. This is part of the collection. I'm slowly trying to get some double-digit Batmans when I see them at the right price, in the right condition. And a 5.0, it's like a 5.0, 5.5. I think that's a good condition for a 1954 book, a Golden Age Batman book. Could, at some point I upgrade, whatever. But this is a really cool book. And that was kind of my big purchase for the day. So that's what I grabbed at the 3-Minute Basement Comic Swap. Let me know what you think about those books. I know a lot of people said hello. They follow the channel, probably are watching this. So I appreciate it. And, when I first started doing this, I would see people at shows always, and I was kind of awkward. I didn't know how to respond, hopefully I've gotten past that. I think I am more comfortable with that being said to me. I'm not surprised by it anymore. So, at any rate, I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.